Hare Krishna. Krishna janma-aṣṭami wishes to every one of you. I'm sure you hear the flute in the background, the thunder and rain as well, and the flowing waters of Yamuna all the way from Mathura to Vrindavan. It's midnight when I'm recording, and it's Rohini Nakshatra and the Ashtami of the Krishna Paksha of Shravana Masa, marking a birthday of a great historical figure, Sri Krishna, one of the greatest kingmakers, spiritualists, transformative, and perhaps the most evolved. It's very unfortunate that we haven't been able to take forward that evolution ever since. But nonetheless, the very concept of Krishna rather than the person Krishna leaves us with an opportunity, and it's that opportunity which we shall explore today. Krishna literally translates as black or attractiveness, and we know that black is a color which is defined as the one which does not reflect back any light. It essentially absorbs everything. The very opposite of white or shukla. And it's that black that we celebrate today mainly because of its attractiveness. Yes, the attractiveness of the black is what makes it so very important. Attractiveness, not in the sense of possessiveness, because this attractiveness is out of a willingness to embrace and make one with oneself, recognizing that we were never separate, to bring back that oneness. And that's essentially what Krishna means. Rama, on the other hand, is called a Maryada Purusha, and Maryada essentially has certain borders, certain rules to follow. And Krishna broke all those rules, recognizing that he is not the physical body, mind or intellect, which are what require boundaries. So until that point of time, Rama was the most evolved soul. And then Krishna showed that it's possible to break even those barriers which Rama had created for himself through being a law-abiding citizen. Krishna showed that laws could be bent to achieve whatever was necessary at that moment based on the situation that was at hand. And that's essentially the two figures, the two highest levels of evolution, which started off from the Piscean Matsya Avatara to the amphibian Kurma Avatara to the most, let's say, gross mammal, which is the Varaha or the wild boar, and then the half lion, half human. So it's just the entry point of that Narasimha. And then the dwarf, which means that physically it's not a fully developed human being. And then Parashurama, a fully developed, physically fit man, but emotionally yet to develop, very angry. And that emotional development took place in the next avatar of Rama, but still bounded. And Krishna playfully destroyed those boundaries to show what true human potential could be. And that's the Krishna whose birth we celebrate today. And that Krishna is not just that historical person alone. Because once we see him as an historical person, either we celebrate the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita, it's very difficult to encompass him as a whole. But to recognize that person who died such a very non-eventful death, unlike Christ who died on the cross, and that itself became a symbol of the whole religion. The death of Krishna was through an arrow in the Achilles heel by a hunter when nobody else was there, and it went completely unnoticed. What was important in the case of Christ was his death and resurrection. What was important in the case of Krishna, the inspiration behind Christ, was his life, not death. And that's the important message to us as well on this Krishna janma-aṣṭami, that we celebrate life, not just today, tonight, but the whole year. But unfortunately, due to the external circumstances and situations, we tend to lose that life energy, which is kind of regenerated on this particular day, which is Krishna janma-aṣṭami. That's why we say Janma. Krishna is nothing but our attractiveness or attractivity, our ability to attract not only everybody but everything, because they are not separate from us in the first place. Essentially, that level of attractiveness becomes a maximum in the case of a black hole, which is put up here through an artistic impression to show how all the surroundings, however massive they might be, including planets, stars, meteors, comets, getting absorbed into the center of the black hole in a way in which there is no possessiveness but an attractiveness out of embrace, out of inclusivity. And that's essentially the Krishna principle which lives in every one of us, whether we know Krishna or not. Even though the person himself left his physical body more than 5,000 years ago, he lives on as our principle of attractiveness. And it is that which we celebrate when we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because you see in this banyan leaf on which he gave the vision to none other than the great Markandeya Rishi during the Pralaya, to show that he survives through it because he is the principle of attractiveness into which the Pralaya draws everything. And that's what he did to Markandeya also, to get him into through the breath and show him the Vishwarupa Darshana, which was later on given to his mother Yashoda through the mud eating episode, and to his dearest friend and cousin Arjuna during the war. That is the Mukunda, Bala Mukunda, was celebrated. Mukunda, Da means giving. I already talked about Narada in a previous episode in Vasnima's channel, and Narada is the human ability to give or generosity, whereas Mukunda is the ability to give moksha, mukti, nirvana or liberation, the ultimate goal of humankind. And that's not a person who is giving it, because once we think of Krishna as a person, we are limiting him through the boundaries of physicality. Instead, what we are celebrating as Krishna is actually the principle of attractiveness which lives in us, which is unbounded unlimited, infinite, forever. And that principle is what we celebrate in the Mahamantra. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Bolo Sita Ram ki, Jai Bolo Radhe Shyam ki. Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ramo. Shri Shyam, Jai Shyam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. And all these mantras are essentially celebrating that spirit of what is the ultimate human goal, Narayana, and in its various forms of Rama as the pleasantness, which still is in a physical entity, but Krishna is beyond the physical in the attractive entity. And to both we had this prefix of Hare, which means steal, hijack, kidnap. Again, not in a sense of possessiveness, because possessiveness, kind of hijacking, stealing, involves, that kind of kidnapping involves still considering that person as separate, still considering that entity which we possess as separate from us. That is more of a slavery kind of a mindset. Whereas the Hare refers to a kidnap, hijack or stealing, which is actually an embrace of all inclusivity. And that's the wonderful nature of Krishna, possible for every one of us, you and me. By treating him as a god, we are saying that what he did is not possible for us. But in reality, we are missing the point that the very purpose of the advent of such avatars is to showcase the human potential or possibility, that the evolution ought to go on. It's not sufficient to stop with the Krishna. The Kalki is the ultimate avatar, at least in the near future. What's beyond that, one doesn't know. But the option for evolution has been kept open, and that's what we celebrate through music and dance. So every inhalation we use that attractive principle of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, to absorb the entire universe or Vasu or Vishnu into ourselves, just like how this black hole is doing it. And then with every exhalation we are saying Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, basically to showcase the fact that the pleasantness that we got out of the attractiveness, we are spreading it out back to the universe. So it's a cyclic thing. By spreading out the pleasantness, we are able to attract, and by attracting, we enhance our pleasantness, and once again we exhale to get even more. A black hole's hunger or thirst is never satisfied or quenched. It goes on forever. And that's essentially what is the principle behind this Maha Mantra. It's in the Kalivatara Upanishad, where for the Kali Yuga it's said that this is the ultimate Maha Mantra. So join me in dancing for this song. As you hear the thunder, the same sound which was heard when Krishna was born in Mathura inside a prison to be taken to Nandagopa's house, and the Yamuna river water which Vasudeva crossed in order to do that. You can hear the sound of that as well. And the rain. Of course, Adi Ananta Sesha 01 Infinity, giving the shadow to that wonderful episode. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Janma-aṣṭami also involves not only the renewal janma, but renewal of our attractiveness, but also Ashtami. The 8 is a very significant number because it talks of the 8 directions in the horizontal plane: the north and south, the east and the west, the northeast and the southwest, the southeast and the northwest. I'm talking about these opposites because it's very, very important to understand that there is a linkage between these Ashtadikpalakas: Indra, Agni, Yama, Nirutti, Varuna, Vayu, Kubera, Ishanya. So if you look at the north-south polarity, the north involves Artha, and you see that the south involves Yama or Dharma. So Kubera and Yama are compensating these two Purusharthas of Artha and Kama. Artha and Dharma. So the Artha or the wealth has to be gained in a righteous manner. Similarly, Kama and Moksha, Indra referring to Kama and Varuna referring to Moksha. The thunder, lightning and rain are all related. Similarly, if you look at the southeast and the northwest, this is basically Agni in the southeast and Vayu in the northwest. And it's without wind you cannot have fire, because fire needs oxygen to burn, which is in the air. So these are working in a partnership, Agni and Vayu. So similarly, you can think of all the others like Nirutti and Ishanya, for example, and so on and so forth. So these Ashtadikpalakas or 8 direction keepers are what are special in this Ashtami, which is also special for Bhairava as Kalashtami, and for Radha, which is the opposite of Dhara. Dhara is a river which flows from upstream to downstream. Radha is opposite of that, flowing from the downstream to the upstream, back to the source. And that source is our attractivity or Krishna. Our ability to swim backwards against the current is what our spirit of Radha is. And that unites with our principle of attractivity, because of which we are able to swim backwards and against the current and move back to our source, Krishna. So with each chant, let's celebrate this. We say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We are essentially attracting everything around us with an embrace, recognizing that it is not different from us, though for a play's sake, for a leela's sake, for a drama sake, almost like a movie, we are making it look different through our imagination. In reality, they all belong right here, not in a sense of possessiveness, but in a sense of inclusivity, as I already mentioned. So this inhalation and exhalation with the Hare Krishna part and the Hare Rama part is very, very important, which many people unfortunately miss out. Because only when you do that, you synchronize all dimensions of your existence, namely the body, mind, intellect, and the life energies. Of course, the Atman or Brahman is everywhere, any case. It's just that we have identified with the first 4 and therefore we are having an issue. So let's continue our dance. Before that, again, Ashtami, another concept of it is that many people think of Ashtami as inauspicious. So Krishna, Radha were all born on an Ashtami, and that too in the Krishna Paksha, or the waning phase of the moon, to showcase that there's no such thing as a good time or a bad time. There's no such thing as a good tithi or a bad tithi, a good day or a bad day, a long day or a short day. Every day has its own potential. It's a question of recognizing that potential and utilizing it in the best possible way, which is what Krishna showcased as an example through his many leelas, right from his infancy to childhood to youth to a middle-aged man and even an old man. This is what we have to imbibe in ourselves, because we already have that principle of attractiveness within us, that attractivity within us. And attractivity, very unfortunately, in the law of attraction that many people are following, divides the world into positive and negative things, good and bad, and to attract only the good or what is liked. That's very unfortunate. So again, you've gone into discrimination, and all inclusivity or the eventual attainment of liberation will not come through, because still the boundaries will exist. So here is an opportunity of Krishna Janma-aṣṭami to go beyond our likes and dislikes and to accept and embrace everything. There's no such thing as I like this and so I will accept it. This I don't like, so I'll not accept it. That is a very immature, childish way of looking at things. Still we'll be in the Parashurama level. We have to grow up. Beyond Parashurama there was a Rama, and beyond Rama there was a Krishna, and even that was more than 5,000 years ago. We have an opportunity to grow beyond all that. And that's possible only through recognizing these philosophical concepts as being inside us. It's not something that is outside of us, not in a faraway place, not in a distant time. It's right here and now. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Bolo Sita Ram ki, Jai Bolo Radhe Shyam ki, Shri Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Shri Shyam Jaya Shyam, Jaya Jaya Shyam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana. Shankakaram Bhujagashyanam, Padmanabham Suresham, Vishwadharam Gaganasadrusham, Meghavarnam Shubhangam, लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिभिर्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथम् यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानाम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे यत्र योगेश्वर कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर्ध्रुवानीतिर्मतिर्मम धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किम् अकुर्वत सञ्जय ब्रह्मार्पणं ब्रह्महवी ब्रह्माग्नौ ब्रह्मणाहुतं ब्रह्मैव तेन गन्तव्यं ब्रह्म कर्म समाधिना कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्तु मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतु भूत्वा सङ्गोऽस्त्व अकर्मणि भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मुडमते भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मुडमते सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले सम्प्राप्ते सन्निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति दुःखं करणे दुःखं करणे भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मुडमते नारीस्तनभर अभिदेशं नारीस्तनभर अभिदेशं दृष्ट्वा मोहावेशम् एतन्मांसस् आदिविकारम् एतन्मांसवस् आदिविकारम् मनसि विचिन्तय वारं वारं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मुडमते देश प्रमाण गोविंदा गोविंद तिरुपति निवासन गोविंदा गोविंद सत्यनारायण गोविंदा गोविंद कुलदैवं गोविंदा गोविंद श्री वेंकटाचलपति गोविंदा गोविंद श्री वेंकटरमण गोविंदा गोविंद श्री बालाजी गोविंदा गोविंद श्री मुकुंदा गोविंदा गोविंद श्री माधवा गोविंदा गोविंद श्री मुरारी गोविंदा गोविंद गोविंदा गोविंदा गोविंद गोविंदा गोविंदा गोविंद Jai Shri Krishna. Happy Janma-aṣṭami once again.